Well, the rich will die first. That's what I want to talk about today. Hey, how are you all? And welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. We are going to talk about that. Have a few announcements to make first. First off, the date on the registration form for the Stonemont / Integrative Preparedness Summer Gathering has been corrected. It was up there. It said it was June 13th. It's not. It's July 13th. Thank you for the people over on Patreon that let me know about that, and that has been corrected. So yes, it is. This is the first annual Integrative Preparedness / Stonemont Summer Gathering, get together, meet and greet, whatever you want to call it. But it's going to be fun, and it's in July on the 13th. It's going to be in eastern Kansas, the Kansas side of the Kansas City area. Okay, for those of you who aren't familiar with this area, we have people coming from all over the country. Apparently, it's going to be cool, and I'm looking forward to it. You can get the information by coming to the Patreon channel and looking at. Let's see. Well, I'll start putting below the post when I put these videos on Patreon. I'll put the links as to where it is, and also some links to some camping and things like that. Just a second. And then if you go to the stonemont.us website, you can register that you're going to be here. Okay, and it doesn't cost anything. I mean, people are they're traveling. You're already spending money. But I have a couple of special things that I have for the people who are coming. So I'm not going to announce what those are yet. But no, it doesn't cost anything. We just need to know how many people are going to be there, right? For any number of reasons. Also, on the Stonemont website, stonemont.us, we have sold out of books. I want to let everybody know that. The Stonemont series, I've sold out. This is the last set that I have here right now, and these are going out today because we filled a whole bunch of orders yesterday, and then when we looked, there were still 20 orders waiting. And we have a shipment coming in, but we have to wait to get those for the from the printer. So if you've already ordered through the website, don't worry, you'll get them. Might be a couple 3 weeks. We like to get them out fast, but when we get this many sales, we're just not able to because we didn't have the stock, and we have to reorder them from the printer. Great problem to have, right? I mean, it's good from this end. I'm sorry for those who are having to wait on their books, but we do the best we can, and you will get them, and you'll love them because I get to sign them for you and put a note in there for you. But if you want them fast, Amazon's the way to get them. And both of those links, the links to Amazon is right down below. In Amazon, you can get them in paperback like this, or Kindle, or Audible. Now, you can't get the Kindle or Audible through me, just the paperback. So however you want to do it, if you want them right away, link to Amazon's down below. If you would like to have the paperback signed by me, and I love doing that. That's my preferred way. Stonemont.us website is down below too. Okay, I think that's it. Let's get to this idea that the rich are gonna die first, and I know that this is a popular theme. It's a popular thought among preppers. And I'm afraid that, like I have done so many times in the past, I am going to burst some prepper bubbles here. And some people are going to get ticked at this video. And that's too bad. The ones who get ticked and click off of this too soon, they're the ones who need to hear this most. Okay, you all, if you were surprised at what I just said, I hope that you'll stay with me because this is going to be an important lesson for you. And like I talked about, was it yesterday that I put up the 3 reasons that preppers will fail, and I took this off of when I was watching one of, what's his name, Andrew Tate. He talked about the reason that people stay broke. Either they're dumb, lazy, or arrogant. And I explained how that exactly parallels why I see most people failing who fail in preparedness. They are I won't say that there's many that are too dumb. I've met a few, but and that's too bad. I'm not being unkind. It's just a way they just don't get it. Lazy is big, okay, but the big one is arrogance. They think they know it all because they have been at it for a while. I'll give an example of the arrogance of the uninformed. And the less informed people are the ones that are arrogant. The more you know about something, you lose your arrogance because you are around other people who know a great deal, many of them more than you, and you realize the higher you get how much more there is to learn that you'll probably never ever learn. When I went from uniform into undercover narcotics, I had an old guy, old by my standards. He was probably 40, right? But he'd been on for 20 some years. And he made some crack to me about, I've got 20 years experience, and you've only got 5 years experience on the road. And how come you get this assignment? Because everybody wanted to be undercover narcotics. It was the cool, the top of the cool in police work, right? And I mean, I took no crap at that point at all. And I looked at him and I told him, I said, I have 5 years of experience. You've got 1 year of experience, which you've repeated 20 times because you haven't learned a damn thing in the last 19 years. And that's the way with a lot of people, not just cops, not just preppers, whatever. But I put that example out there just as a way of explaining that it's easy to fall into. And too many people in the preparedness world have fallen into the same old things that are broadly accepted throughout preparedness. They are truisms. They're not true necessarily. They are just become true in the minds of many because they have been repeated over and over and over and over again. And so anytime you want to posit a another point of view, a conflicting point of view, everybody says, well, that's not right, that's crazy, and everybody knows that, and then they fall into this everybody knows, many of which simply aren't true if you pay attention and if you really run it through the strainer of both experience and a deep thought process, and you'll find yourself questioning a lot of these. This is one of those. So that was my long explanation about, look, if you have fallen prey to this idea that the rich are going to die first, I hope you'll listen, because what I'm going to tell you next is really going to tick you off. And that's not my purpose. Most of the people on this channel, I think, will fully understand. But I know also that the title of this is going to draw people who may not usually be with us on this channel. And I want to spread this truth out there. So don't click off, learn. Okay? There is this idea, like I said, the rich are going to die first. Why? Because they're clueless, right? That's what everybody thinks. They're clueless. They're not prepared. They don't know what they're doing. They're lazy. They're this, they're that, they're everything. They're not like those of us who have scratched in the dirt and made do with nothing and everything like that, right? That is so far from the truth, you can't believe it. Let me take a sip and I'll continue. We are cut up on mugs, though. So if you need your mug, you can get those faster. The rich people, here's what I'm going to say that's going to shock a lot of people and tick some off. The rich are the truly prepared. No, they're not, Steve. I hear a chorus back. Steve, how can you say something like that? And then the guy says, I'm never listening to you again. How can I say that? Why are the rich the most prepared? Well, why do you think they're rich? Okay. Is it because they're lazy? No. The rich people are not lazy. Rich people put in hours like most people can't believe. The guy who works 8, 10, 12 hours a day shift, who thinks that that's a long shift, trust me, the rich put in many more hours than that. The vast majority of people who are rich did not inherit it. They earned it. They started many from nothing, and they built it. And they built it with long days, long hours, sleepless nights, investing everything they had in a way of time, energy, money, whatever. Okay, so first off, they're not lazy. They are the ultimate preppers because they have prepared for the world that they see coming. Okay? The world that they see coming, first off, is a world that is continuing along the path that it has been going. Okay? And that means increased production, increased inflation, just an increase in everything, the way that the world is structured. So they have been preparing for the world that they see in front of them. Okay, while many preppers who have kind of gone to this, beans and rice and hunkering down and trying to live without nothing and living in the woods, and I don't mean to insult anybody who has chosen that lifestyle. I get it. We're all different, and it's time to stop putting people down that are different than, I am, you are, whatever, than we are. People like different things. Some people want to live out in the woods. I don't. I have a place in the woods, but I live where I live. Other people want to live where they want to live. And there are reasons for each of those. So while the one person who thinks about preparedness as, well, I've got my rice and my beans and my 5-gallon buckets, and I'm growing a garden, which you should, which is great. Okay, and that's preparedness. And the rich people, they're going to be the first ones eating because they don't know squat. Blah blah. Let me tell you something. Rich people, first off, the rich are prepared for the world that's coming, where many preppers are not. Many preppers are not. Instead of, and I had somebody say the other day, she says, I'm so glad when you talk about the importance of making money, because very few other prepping channels do. And I think there are a few that do, but most don't. Most concentrate on doing with less. And they actually make fun of people. And I find that, I'm not insulted because I don't care. I don't know these people. They don't know me. But it is insulting to the people who live a different lifestyle than they do, and I don't understand the need for that. Why put people down who want to live differently? But those who don't want to live in the woods are preparing for the future that comes, okay, that they see. Now, in addition to that, whereas the people who approach it from the other way, okay, rice and beans, living in the woods, they are prepping for a world that they think might be coming. So I want you to think about those two. The one that prepares for the way that they think it's going to be. Both of them are preparing for the way they think it's going to be. But the one who's preparing to continue to be able to live better in the world that we have now, they're really basing on more concrete evidence, if you'll allow me that. The other, who wants to simply concentrate on going back and living with nothing, and I think many of them are kind of hoping for that, to be honest. And I have my ideas about that, but I don't think I'll go into them here. I don't want to insult anybody. Okay, it's not my way, but it's their way. Good for them. Just because the rich are rich doesn't mean they don't have preps. Many of them do have preps. Think about what people think of as preparation, right? A good, solid, defensible home. The rich have them. The rich have them. They've got all the, if you look at a preparedness channel and somebody's talking about putting in alarms or lighting, security lighting, things like that. Or a lot of times, let's just talk about game cameras. How to use game cameras, for site security. Well, everybody thinks that's great. But the rich, they've got cameras everywhere. They have alarms everywhere. They will have a security company there within minutes, and the police within seconds. Okay. Many of them, if you go beyond that, their houses are fortified. Why? Because they're big and they're well built and they're well put together. In addition to not being stupid, because they are smart. You don't get rich by being stupid. They are smart. They have invested in those things that they believe will most likely secure the future of their family, their children, their grandchildren. Is that not what preparedness is? Right? It is. And to increase the quality of the life of their family along the way in the current day while they are preparing in case of some kind of calamity in the future. Now, in most of their cases, they're thinking about an economic downturn. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. Just a second. Okay. So they're preparing, they're working and saving and investing against economic bad times, right? Now, is that not preparedness? I mean, how many preparedness channels talk about the importance of preparing for hard economic times? Okay, many of them I see just by the titles. Buy gold, buy silver, buy this, buy that. Well, that's not how the rich think. The rich aren't buying gold and silver. You know what they're doing? They're building businesses. And that's what I suggest that you do too. The return for having your own business is so much more than any precious metal. And it brings with it so many tax advantages. It brings with it the ability to protect yourself against inflation. A person says, say the normal kind of what people consider to be preppers say, well, as inflation, you have some precious metals. Well, that's going to protect you against inflation. It's going to help you, retain the value, your wealth. Well, rich don't look at it that way. They say, with inflation, I just raise my prices, whatever those prices may be. Okay, whatever they have invested, and a lot of them, of course, are going to have it in stocks. Many of the stocks in their own companies, but even if they don't have stock, they'll have their own companies. I invested in my company. I pass on the inflation to my customers. It's the saying that corporations don't pay taxes. You're familiar with that, and it's not really true. I mean, the non-thinking person thinks, oh, that's unfair. What it means is the corporations just pass it on. Okay, they don't pay tax. If taxes are raised, they pass it on. They figure it into the cost of doing business, and then they have so many write-offs. Only the person. What did Trump said? The only reason I don't pay taxes because I'm not stupid. I use the tax law. So they invest in their businesses, and that's why I suggest businesses. I don't get hit with inflation because as inflation comes around, I simply increase the price of my services. Now, I haven't increased the price of my books or anything like that for a long time. I think we on the Amazon site we raised the price couple of bucks, maybe a year or two ago, and that's simply as inflation goes. You have to stay with inflation. Only a dummy will not do that. Okay, but you have to have your own business in order to be able to do that. If you're working for a wage, you're not going to be able to do that. Wages always follow very slowly inflation. If you're working for a paycheck, inflation's killing you, and you're hoping for maybe a 3% raise next year. Next year, right? Well, it doesn't help a lot when inflation's 7.5%. Real inflation is more like 20%. I know they'll tell you that it's like 4 or something like that. I don't keep track of that stuff anymore, to be honest, because it's meaningless. What you hear in the news is meaningless. It's what you pay at the store that means something. So in this regard also, the rich are super preppers because they are preparing and they have the experience and the knowledge and the desire to make sure that they are not only keeping up with inflation, but they are winning against inflation, because the idea of the rich is not to stay even. It's to keep building wealth. And many people, sadly, those people who will not be helped by this advice, they'll say, well, that's unfair and that's greedy and all that. I'll tell you a story. Kelly and I used to throw newspapers. Okay. I actually used to be a district manager for the Kansas City Star, and Kelly was a carrier. And I oversaw a bunch of carriers, and some of those carriers were making, this is back around the year 2000, okay? Back then, I don't remember what I was making, but um, I had carriers making 200,000 a year. And it was a great job. Well, when we decided to get married, I quit the Star for a number of reasons. I quit, and we got a whole bunch of other routes for a whole bunch of other papers and periodicals and things like that. We were working all the time. We got such little sleep, you can't believe it. We threw one of the things that we threw was one of those free papers there used to be where everybody in a whole town gets one thrown in their driveway. They all only about that big around. We had so many of those routes. We ran two vehicles. Each of us did it by ourselves. And I think we were throwing like in one day 18,000. We were getting worn, but we were building the foundation of what we wanted our family to be. And that was the only thing. I mean, then on other days we did other things. And another route came open. We were working our butts off, like I said, getting hardly any sleep. But we knew what we were doing. And actually it provided what we needed to later on open a tanning salon, a business. But right then we were working to build the money to do that. And so the opportunity for another route came open, and we told the guy, we'll take that contract. Yeah, and another carrier also wanted it, and they didn't get it because they weren't any good. Kelly and I did everything right. This other carrier was dumping papers all the time, essentially stealing money, and we got the contract. They didn't. You know what they said? They called us greedy. See, that's the same argument that is out there, that they say rich people are greedy. No, they're not. If you think so, you either don't know any or you know the wrong ones. Because I have never met a rich person, and I know many, who was greedy. I know a lot of them that worked their butts off. Okay, and were responsible and did it because they were preparing to ensure that their families never wanted. Okay, and they were able to send their kids to the best schools. They were able to, they're not worrying about, here again, the lower level prepper, and I don't mean that in a demeaning way, is saying, well, you need to learn how to do your own brake job. Because that saves you money. The person who is making money doesn't worry about doing his own brakes because he takes it to his mechanic, pays his mechanic, therefore helping someone else make money, while he spends his time doing what he does to make money. Now, there's nothing to do in a brake job. It's not like, the rich guy, he's just not smart enough to do a brake job. Have you seen some of the people doing brake jobs? Don't have to be that smart, right? So see, that's another fallacy that people just won't understand. So the rich have strong, defensible homes. Many of them have preps you can't believe. You don't think they do? They do. They just don't talk about it. They're really not on YouTube. I'm not rich. Okay. I do okay. I'm fine. But no, they're not concerned with that. They have stocked their place. You know what else they have? Everybody likes to talk about bug out locations, right? You think they don't have them? I mean, they don't call them that. They call them the lake house, or the cabin in the mountains, or the cabin in the Ozarks. But that's what they are. And you think they're not fully stocked? They are. And you know what's at their bug out location at the lake? A boat. And do you know what's at their bug out location in the mountains? A 4-wheel drive and a what do you call them? A snow machine, snowmobiles, stuff like that. All sorts of things. You know what all of them are full of? Guns. You know what else all of them are full of? Food. When everything falls apart, if and when it does, and it will eventually, where do you think those people are going to be? Well, if they can't stay in their main location, their main house, well, then they're going to be at their alternate locations. And they're not going to have to worry about it. They're not going to have to wonder, oh, where should we go? Should we run into the woods with our bug out bags? No. They'll say, well, we're going to the lake house. You know why? Because everybody else down there is just like us. They're all prepared. They have their lake houses there because they made the money. They have established themselves. There's community there. They know the law enforcement. They know the fire people. They know everything. Or we're going to the cabin where everything's already pre-positioned. And do you think they're not going to be able to get out of town? Why do you think that? They're going to be able to get out of town just fine. First, another thing is that the rich tend to think ahead a lot. They think a lot. The rich start their day. I used to do this. I don't do it anymore. Flipping through the financial magazines. First thing I used to do was start looking through the Financial Times. See what's going on in the world. Well, now it's really, and unless you're into currency trading and things like that, I don't keep up on that stuff anymore. Because I'm not a trader anymore. I used to be a trader. But we know what's happening in the world. We know the world is crazy. We're just ready to see which thing is going to pop off, right? And if we're prepared, it really doesn't matter which of those things pop off. So, we can either become consumed by worrying about the latest little thing, the thing that makes the top headlines on Drudge or Breitbart or whatever, and we can get all frantic about it. Oh my gosh, today Ukraine did that, or today Putin did this, or oh my gosh. All these, it doesn't matter. First off, you don't know whether you're being told the truth or not. That's why I don't cover a lot of the daily news here on this channel. You don't know whether it's true or not. And if it is, you really don't know what it means. Because the 7-dimension game of chess that's being played in the world by, the powers that be, the people behind who we think are the powers, they got stuff plotted out way down the road. And it doesn't matter what thing pops off. It matters that you are prepared for anything. When people have called my series, and I thank them very much. I'm not bragging here. I'm passing on. Some people say, oh, this guy just wants to sell his books. That's always my series, the Stonemont series. By the way, I forgot to also add at the beginning, I just finished book number 7 on Wings Like Eagles. The rest of today, I'm going to be doing the first reread through, the first editing before I send it to the printer. And so I'm very excited about that. And I'm starting 2 new books. But I'm not starting them until I get done with the first edit of this, get my proof copy. And we'll have that on Wings Like Eagles, probably be available late part of June. Okay. But anyway, back to this. This has been called by many people the greatest preparedness and survival series they've ever read. Okay. I thank the people for that. I don't know. I haven't read any others, so I can't really be the judge. Well, I've read a couple of others, and yes, I do put mine above those. But I don't know all of them. Maybe there's some really great ones out there, and I just don't know about them. But the thing about it is, and I teach a lot of preparedness lessons in here. Like I say, I could make videos for 100 years and never scratch the surface of things I've already covered in detail in these. But one of the most important things that I said in this whole thing And if you're not familiar with it, it's the story of a family who was prepared, and when everything collapsed, they were able to continue living a high quality life after the collapse as a result of their preparedness. And as a result of that preparedness, were able to help other people. And then as a result of that, we're able to start rebuilding community and society. I think it's my throat's either I'm talking too much, somebody will say, yeah, you talk too much, or it's allergy season around here anyway. But one of the most important things that I put in here was in the very first chapter when I say this, Jim Wyatt's riding home on his bicycle because, those of you who know. He and Kelly had been smart with their money, which enabled them to have the place they were on, which enabled them to survive, thrive, help others, and rebuild. Smart with their money, smart with the money they made. It wasn't about saving them. You can't save yourself into prosperity. I don't care what Dave Ramsey says. You earn yourself into prosperity. And then that enables you to do all of the other things that are going to make your life the best it can be after whatever happens. You need to establish independence from the system. Okay? So I'm sure that this one disappointed a lot of people, and it probably made a lot of people mad who just were so I want to hear about those rich people dying first, because they won't be. They won't be. They have prepared. The rich are the ultimate preppers because they have established lifestyles, economic security, physical security, in many cases, group security. Don't think that the concept of a mag is unknown to the rich people. They've got the biggest mag there is. They know people in every field. They know people of every skill and discipline. And they will not have a hard time when everything comes down. That's the truth of the matter. And I think that's something that very few people will admit to themselves. Very few people understand, at least in the preparedness world. And if they did, it would change how they do things. My main point on this one is this. Whether or not you want to be rich, whether or not you ever get to be rich, whether or not you care about being rich, doesn't matter. Your financial strength, your ability to buy the things you need to fortify and increase your preparedness is paramount to your ability to be prepared. I know that people like this idea, this kind of romantic idea of, well, we're all going to go back to, living in the woods and living in the, gardening. I mean, my gosh, have you ever tried to hand garden to feed yourself? Well, I've seen it, and it ain't pretty, and it's hard work, and it tears people down. You look at the people who do it without their big tractors and things. You look at people who try to do that with hand tools, because this is the big prepper fantasy, right? You look at the people that try to do that with hand tools to sustain through farming, ranching, whatever, without power, without whatever, with the collapse that financial collapse will take away half the farms and ranches around because they're so far into debt. But it takes its toll on people. Those people are old before their years, and they have a lot of physical problems. Anyway, I hope that's not you. Do better if you can. And you can. Most of you. I can't. There's things that I could do that I'm not doing. I'll be honest. But increase your individual stability in an unstable world. And use the rich as an example. They're ready for pretty much everything because of the money they have. Don't put people down for having money. Don't put people down because they don't know how to do their own breaks. Okay, because they can pay plenty of people to do their breaks, or they can read a book and figure it out. So that's the truth about this. Go out there and do something. Increase your independence by increasing your income, and you can do it. It is the way that you fight against whatever's coming down the road. Okay? I hope you've got something from this. And I'm sure there's some people that are mad at me for saying this. But that's too bad. Whatever. Everybody to their own, right? Okay. Hey, you guys have a good day. That was an important message for a lot of people. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Remember that we're in backlog on our orders on the books through the website, but we'll be getting that new load in the next week or two, and we'll get them back out. So if you want them fast, you got to do them through Amazon. And remember to go over to the Patreon channel and get the link or to get information on the get-together. And then you can go to the stonemont.us website and go to the events tab, and it'll take you to a registration page for that event. Okay, looking forward to seeing everybody. It's going to be a fun time. You all have a good day. I'm going to go have lunch, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.